Something is starting to stink down in Cobb County, Georgia, and it's shaping up to look like the recipe includes a dash of law enforcement incompetence, a pinch of political retaliation, and as always, a heaping tablespoon of government corruption. Let's talk about the case of Mahindra Patel. What's up, you guys? Welcome back to Southern Draw Law. My name is James White, criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor, former police officer. What if I told you that a retired Georgia man with financial means to afford bond was arrested, jailed for 49 days without ever having an opportunity to have a preliminary hearing, indicted by a direct presentment, even though there was surveillance video that shows that the accusation was provably false, and that it was the same surveillance video that the police used to identify the man and ultimately secure an arrest warrant. Now, maybe that doesn't shock you because it sounds like something that happens every single day. But what if I also told you that the case involved a white woman's accusation against an older brown man, and for once, the media didn't immediately jump on the outrage bandwagon and try to stress race relations? No, they platformed the accuser and they featured her story on the news. Are you scratching your head yet? What if the next thing I told you was that the lawyer who ultimately secured the defendant's release is the same exact person who nearly ended the career of Fulton County District Attorney Fannie Willis, one of Georgia's most powerful prosecutors, by exposing her love affair with Nathan Wade? Now, you might say, James, please connect the dots. I don't get it. It would be my pleasure. Please buckle up. Mahindra Patel, a retired real estate investor, walked into a Walmart in Ackworth, Georgia to buy Tylenol for his sick mother. He ended up having some exchange with a lady named Caroline Miller while he was in there. Miller was seated on a mobility scooter. Patel thought that she was handicapped. He ended up interacting with her for a couple minutes, asking her to help him try to find a particular brand of Tylenol. One of the kids in her lap was a toddler and reached out towards him, and Patel instinctively reaches to catch the kid and gently places him back in the mother's lap. Patel leaves the interaction, moves on, minding his own business, ultimately asks somebody else for help trying to find this Tylenol, and he finds it eventually. And then on his way out of the store, after having no more interactions with this lady or her children, he ends up seeing her and shows her, hey, I found the Tylenol I was looking for that I was asking you to help. She gives him a thumbs up, and 30 minutes later, that same woman calls 911 and claims that Patel tried to kidnap her child off of her lap in the middle of the Walmart store.
Did someone try to take you from Mommy?
Yeah.
Caroline Miller says it started when the shopper asked where he could find Tylenol at a Walmart in Atlanta.
It's over there. And as soon as I did that, that's when he just picked him up out of my arms.
What followed, she said, was a tug of war over the kid. She called 911.
I was in the Walmart and I had to rip my baby out of some other man's hands because he was trying to snatch him.
Someone trying to snatch your baby?
Yes.
Now, you're probably thinking, well, James, I have complete confidence that the police looked at the video and was like, that didn't happen. Well, you'd be wrong about that, and I know that you didn't think that in the first place. The police took the case at face value, watched the man on surveillance video, identified him after they watched him get into a vehicle and looked at the vehicle plate, and then secured a warrant for his arrest a few days later. After his arrest, he was in jail for 49 straight days, being held with no bond, with no preliminary hearing, and charged for crimes that he didn't commit. Now, all of that might sound like your run-of-the-mill standard thing that happens to everybody, and it is a result of a Karen manipulating the circumstances in order to get attention and get a person arrested. In fact, we just saw the same thing happen somewhere else in the country. I can't remember exactly where off the top of my head right now, where a lady said that some guy attempted to rape her, and he was arrested and held for a couple months, I think, on charges before it was ultimately found out that she was lying. And then she was later charged with false police report or something related to her false statements that got this guy arrested. Now, ordinarily in a criminal prosecution, the way it works is that the police officer gets the warrant or makes a warrantless arrest. That person has an initial appearance, and then they have a preliminary hearing. And in Georgia, I think they call it like a committal hearing. And the purpose of that preliminary hearing is to have a judicial examination of the evidence so that a judge can decide, hey, there's something that merits sending this to the grand jury so that we can have a trial on this matter, or there's not. But the point is, a person would generally be afforded an opportunity to have a hearing where both sides get to sort of take an adversarial position on the evidence and present their case to the judge. In this case, that did not happen. Instead of the normal process, the Cobb County District Attorney, that would be Sonia Allen, that name will matter in a minute, decided to take the case directly to the grand jury. No early scrutiny, no challenge to the evidence. My question is, why? Let's be clear. This wasn't some covert investigation where secrecy was justified. Direct presentment, in my experience, is normally reserved for situations where there's some sensitivity attached to the circumstances. Things like major criminal investigations, RICO, corruption, murder, child exploitation, or SA, where the target doesn't realize they're even being investigated many times. This was a random man arrested at Walmart for a public incident caught on surveillance video. Now, you might wonder why it matters that the prosecutor chose to go with a direct presentment as opposed to the normal path. But again, the normal path affords the defendant an opportunity to have his case examined by a judge. A direct presentment does not. And I've already explained how the process normally works under most circumstances, but by proceeding to a direct presentment, the state never had to publicly show the video. And it turns out that all of this is completely legal. Apparently, Georgia lacks any sort of mandate on the amount of time a person can be held without bail prior to an indictment, with the exception of one statute. And it says in pertinent part, any person who is in custody charged with an offense that is not bailable, that would be the attempting kidnapping charge, shall be discharged from custody, meaning he's being released, if he is not indicted or accused within 90 days from the date of his confinement, unless the delay is caused by the defendant. Now, maybe you're thinking, okay, why does any of that matter? Well, it matters because it's a crazy way to treat an elderly retired man where there is actual evidence that preponderates against the allegation. And we happen to know that the police saw the surveillance footage because they used it to identify him. Now, that's all well and good, but you might not know how easy it actually is to secure an indictment. Most people interested in the legal system have, at one point or another, heard the term, "you can indict a ham sandwich." That's absolutely true, and an indictment is one of the easiest things a prosecutor can secure. Here's how simple the process is. There's no defense attorney. There's no cross-examination. There's no judge. There's just a prosecutor and a group of citizens that have been impaneled as the grand jury, and they go through jury selection process, and it's the same group who serves for a certain period of time. In Georgia, I think it's like around 60 days, a couple months. And they meet behind closed doors, and they hear every case that's going to be presented and indicted during that period of time. And all day long, every day that they're impaneled, it's police officer after police officer standing in front of them and reciting the exact same assertions that they'd put in an arrest warrant. And the grand jury takes everything they say as true and decides whether a set of facts presented by the police qualifies as a crime. Now, I don't have access to the actual probable cause testimony or statement given to the grand jury in this case, but this is a hypothetical of what the testimony might have looked like for Mr. Patel. On March 18th, I, Officer Dipshit with the Ackworth Police Department, responded to a report of an attempted abduction at the Walmart located in Ackworth, Georgia. The complainant, a female shopper, called 911 after the incident to report suspicious and alarming conduct involving her minor child. The complainant stated that while shopping with her two young children, both seated in her lap on a motorized scooter, she was approached by an unknown adult male, later identified as Mahindra Patel. According to the complainant, Patel engaged her under the pretense of asking about over-the-counter medication, but that he seemed unusually focused on her child throughout the encounter. During the interaction, the complainant reported that Patel reached out and physically removed her male child from her lap without warning or consent. She described this as an invasive and startling act that caused her immediate distress. She quickly retrieved her child, who was visibly surprised. She described Patel's conduct as aggressive and stated that he did not offer an apology or explanation. She further reported that Patel walked away, but later re-engaged her near the front of the store, presenting a box of medication and making eye contact with her again in a manner she described as uncomfortable and persistent. Based upon the complainant's account of the uninvited physical contact with her minor child and her fear that Patel may have been attempting to distract or groom her child for abduction, I determined there was probable cause to believe that Mr. Patel committed the following offenses: Attempted kidnapping, simple assault, simple battery. That's it. That's all it takes. Just her version of events framed in a way that shows her as the victim and assumes the worst on behalf of Mr. Patel, all probably in an attempt for her to get attention. And she was willing to ruin this guy's life over it. Now, this is what actually happened, but instead of me telling you or reading you some version of events that I crafted based on what I thought the police officer probably said, I'll just let you watch the attorney, Ashley Merchant, who is a badass, by the way, tell the judge when Mr. Patel finally got in front of a judge what actually happened and show the video along with the facts as they unfolded in real time.
He talked to at least 3 employees after this alleged interaction. So during this time that the police have said that he fled, he remained in Walmart for a full 8 minutes. He talked to 3 different employees, and he passed Miss Miller 3 times. He used his debit card, and then he waited at the door and talked to an employee for over 30 seconds. I'm going to show you if you want to pull up. So what we've done is we have a couple different videos. One of them, because nobody wants to watch 20 different surveillance videos, one of them shows Mr. Patel coming in, and if you want to go ahead and start playing that. And then I can show you the exact interaction.
If I could be heard. This isn't a trial to bond hearing, and so I would encourage the court to consider the legal bond considerations. I'm not sure that this is pertinent to that. If they want to submit this for the court's review, if they believe that they can articulate why it's pertinent to the issue of bond, which is the narrow issue we have today, I can understand that, and we can have that discussion. But if we're just playing videos to try the case in a bond hearing, the state would object to that. It's not relevant.
You have a relevancy objection.
Judge, I can't imagine anything that's more relevant than a video of the alleged incident. If you were trying to determine bond and you had a video of what the accused is accused of doing, that could potentially be the most relevant information you would ever have in a bond hearing, whether or not someone actually did what they're accused of. And the other thing is the state has alleged that he fled. That's been alleged from the beginning by the police. There's no, part of the bond factors, significant risk of fleeing or failure to appear in court. No. Is he a danger or a threat to anybody? You need to watch the video. He's not. He's clearly not. Is he at risk of committing any future felonies? No. I mean, I think it's highly relevant, and I would imagine the court would want to see this.
Well, I'll overrule the objection. As I read the pleadings, I looked at it as possible evidence that he would come to court and that he is not a flight risk. Of course, I haven't seen the video, right? So I don't know what it's going to show me, but I'll let you do that. And just so everybody knows, I have my own monitor down here. I'm not staring at the floor.
Wonderful.
I'll let you do that.
Thank you so much. All right, and this is the compilation. So the reason that we did this part is to kind of show the timeline. You can go ahead and play it. The timeline for the court when Mr. Patel enters the store at 8:16. And then you can see him walking, and he's on his phone, texting his daughter, which can be corroborated by the phone when we get it. Now you see him, he's walking to the pharmacy section. This is the pharmacy section. And now this is when he actually interacts for the first time with Miss Miller. So that's Miss Miller in the cart, in the scooter. It's the first time that they've met, and they're talking about the Tylenol. And so the gentleman, you can see a gentleman in an orange shirt behind them. That's the gentleman I was talking about. That's the witness. His name is Mr. Leva.
Right.
He's the one that later assists.
All right.
And witnessed the whole thing. So this is the other view, so you can see how close Mr. Leva is. And behind this display cart is that's when you can see the beginning of Miss Miller's cart. So the alleged incident is happening now. Here's the other view of it, flipping back so you can see both views. That's the alleged incident right there. Then she points. He moves on, goes to get the Tylenol. She backs up into the display cart. She's laughing, joking with this gentleman. This is literally a split second after this alleged kidnapping. You see her child kind of get off the cart. She runs over the child's foot. The guy jumps in to help. She was having trouble with the cart. I mean, everybody says that. All of this is after this alleged kidnapping has taken place. There's Mr. Patel entering the video again. You see him walking past. He talks with this guy that's witnessed this alleged kidnapping. Miss Miller's right there. Doesn't say a word. She's puttering along in her cart. He's chatting with this gentleman, asking about the Tylenol. This gentleman speaks Spanish, so the communication's a little bit difficult there. Mr. Patel goes to try and find a Walmart employee. He walks past Miss Miller again. There's that other interaction I mentioned, the third interaction, walks past her to find a Walmart employee. Again, this is all after this alleged kidnapping, so, he's not fleeing. Want to find another employee. There's the employee walking him back to the Walmart pharmacy to show him where the Tylenol is. So you can see Miss Miller puttering along in her cart in the back of this video. This employee shows Mr. Patel where Tylenol is. Miss Miller puttering along still on her cart. Mr. Patel walks past her, shows her, look, I got the Tylenol. She gives him a thumbs up. He keeps going. That's when, at 8:27, that's when she first told this Walmart employee about this. At the same exact time, Mr. Patel is paying for his Tylenol, so he's still in the store. And you can see if you zoom in, and we didn't do that, but it's the rapid release Tylenol. It's a special gel Tylenol that it's the exact same label that his daughter texted him a picture of by. And Mr. Patel has no medical background. It's not surprising that he's asking his family for help. His wife's a doctor. His daughter's in medical school. So, it's not surprising he's asking for assistance with this. He's with his card in his name, linked to his bank account. I'm talking with this employee on the way out. Complete opposite of fleeing. He's like the typical elderly gentleman who talks to everybody at the store. And then he leaves. 8:28, 8:29, he leaves.
So there you have it. If you've ever listened to Jeff Gray, when he posts 911 calls, or any of the other auditors, where it's like, okay, this was the 911 call, and this is what the lady said, and this is what actually happened. This is how it happens. When told in narrative form, exactly the same way that they can lie on police reports and arrest warrant affidavits and put poor people in jail, they did it here to Mr. Patel. But most importantly, when viewed in the light of a reasonable explanation, it becomes fairly obvious that this was not a crime, because kidnapping and assault and battery all have specific mens rea components that have to be proven, and there's no way, based on this footage, that anyone could ever prove that Mr. Patel conducted himself in a way that lended itself to criminality. He did nothing suspicious. No sneaking, no fleeing, no predatory behavior, just an overreaction, maybe a misunderstanding, more than likely just outright attention-seeking behavior that was the predicate for a felony indictment and a ruinous event that changed the trajectory of Mr. Patel's life. But you still might be wondering, what does that have to do with politics and anything more than your sort of run-of-the-mill government cover-up, corruption, incompetence, government ineptitude? Well, enter Ashley Merchant. I mentioned her before. We saw her on the video, but Merchant is able to secure a bond hearing after 49 days of Mr. Patel rotting in jail. And it's unclear when she got involved in the case, which is the reason that I'm curious about why this is happening. If her name sounds familiar, it should be. She's the attorney who filed the ethics complaint that nearly ended the career of Fani Willis. That will be Georgia's most notable district attorney, Merchant exposed a pattern of misconduct and conflicts of interest that did real damage to Willis's personal and professional reputation. She's also the lawyer who represented Brian Steele, one of the lawyers in the Young Thug RICO trial, where the corrupt and biased judge attempted to put Mr. Steele in jail for multiple days simply because he was defending his client, and he was calling out the corrupt and improper judicial conduct by the judge and collusion with the district attorney's office, Fulton County, Fani Willis. Now you might say, James, that's Fulton County. This is Cobb County. Where's the connection? Not every county close to Atlanta is the same. Well, here's the twist. The new Cobb County district attorney is none other than Sonia Allen. Well, who's Sonia Allen? Sonia Allen not only used to work under Fani Willis at the Fulton County DA's office, she was the head of the Anti-Corruption Division, which apparently has the most oxymoronic title in history. But that means that she was likely intricately involved in both the Trump RICO prosecution that aired all of Fani Willis's dirty laundry, as well as the Young Thug RICO prosecution. Now, again, I'm not talking about Trump. This is not about Trump. I'm just talking about all the ways these things are connected. Okay, so I'm not defending Trump. I'm not making any comments about Trump's prosecution. I'm saying it's not a coincidence that these things are all connected, because you know who else was involved with both of those cases and on the opposite side? Yep, Ashley Merchant. And in seeking the office of the Cobb County District Attorney, Allen aligned herself politically with Fani Willis, who just won a second term. And she worked for the Fulton County DA's office up until some short period of time before she took over as the Cobb County DA. And we're supposed to believe that it's just a coincidence that now she's overseeing Patel's case with Ashley Merchant as the attorney of record? I don't know. You guys tell me. Am I missing something? Am I overthinking it? What's going on here? Let's recap. A retired Georgia man is arrested based on a provably false accusation. The state skips the hearing that would have tested the evidence and allowed the public to see the video that we've all now seen and makes obvious that this didn't happen. He's held in jail for 7 weeks until Merchant walks in and brings the facts to light. Maybe it's all just aggressive prosecution. Maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe it's coincidence. But when the state bends procedure, which they won't do for you, by the way, bypasses transparency and has to be forced to allow the video to be played that served as the prerequisite for the charges that the state found so compelling that they presented them directly to the grand jury. It kind of makes me wonder when Ashley Merchant became involved and when she put her notice of appearance in, and whether Mr. Patel has become collateral damage in a political war that he didn't know he was involved in. In closing, when prosecutors weaponize and politicize the criminal justice system, when they skip the rules and the media doesn't do their job and they look the other way and they start focusing on stuff that doesn't matter, it's usually a sign that something is amiss, something else is going on, and you need to dig a little deeper and ask more questions. And when that something that you uncover involves lawyers with powerful enemies, silence isn't just suspicious, it's actually dangerous. Transparency is the only answer to this type of problem. The questions need to be asked and answered. Number one, when did Ashley Merchant give notice that she was representing Mr. Patel? Number two, was there ever a hearing scheduled for Mr. Patel? Preliminary hearing, committal hearing, whatever you want to call it. Number three, was the normal process undertaken and was it diverted once Merchant got involved? We'll only know that based on whether or not we can find out when she put in her notice of appearance. Because if Mr. Patel was just arrested and was in the process of getting his hearing and all that, and then she got hired and she put her notice of appearance in, and all of this stuff changed, and all of a sudden, no bond, and we're going to get a direct presentment, that stinks. It stinks like politics. And I think we need to know whether Mr. Patel was collateralized in order to punish Ashley Merchant for daring to cross the Atlanta-based DAs. And number four, this really needs to be explored. Mr. Patel can afford to be bonded out. He's not poor. He's a retired real estate investor. His wife is a doctor. His daughter is in med school. Why was he held without bond on such flimsy accusations where there was exculpatory video evidence available from the very beginning? Number five, why has there not been a further investigation into the person making the allegations? Why has there not been a criminal investigation into the complainant now that we know what we know? And number six, why did the state try so hard not to let the judge see the video surveillance? And finally, is this what the public can expect from the state of Georgia and its prosecutors? I'm not much of a conspiracy theorist, but all the dots are connecting for me in this case. And it certainly makes me wonder why on earth any first year prosecutor didn't toss this case on its head with a single glance at the video. Anyway, that's all for this one, guys. I hope you got something from the video. I just wanted to put it on your radar. A lot of people have been talking about it, but I haven't really chimed in, so I kind of wanted to just throw it out there and see what you guys thought about it. I'd like to invite you to come over to the Substack community. It's absolutely free to join. You can join on a paid tier, but that's only for people who just want to support the Southern Draw Law channel monetarily. If you don't enjoy blogs and you don't want to go to Substack, but you'd like to support the channel monetarily, I'll put my Venmo and PayPal links both here on the screen as well as in the description. Please remember to like and subscribe and leave a comment on the video. Check out some of the other videos on the channel and leave a comment on there as well. Until I see you again, take care. Always film your interactions with the police and keep your evidence to yourself.